I just thought I'd make a video on some of the modifications I've made on my lathe. This is an enco. It's a 2033. You can see it's made in 1994. I believe I got it the very end of 1994, maybe the first part of 95. Anyway, the first thing I did is I made a stand for it, and that's all made out of scrap sheet metal and square tubing um, that I had. And then I made a backsplash for it too. It didn't come with a backsplash, it just came with the chip tray. So I made a backsplash for it. And it's just scrap sheet metal too. It's got a 1-inch square tube frame to support it. One of the deals I did make is this handle. You pick this up and you can see this nut right here. That's a bar that goes down, and there's a little plate that sticks out on the corner of the motor there. This rod goes down and threads into that, and that lifts the motor up so you can change the belt in here easily. Anyway, and then you just if you need to swap the belt around, you can just reach the belt right here. It's right here, so that makes changing that belt real easy. And then, as you can see, I've got a different tailstock on it. When I was an apprentice in a machine shop years ago when I was like 25, I think. But one of the hassles that I remember the most is like drilling holes in the end of a shaft or something and having to constantly crank the handle back, to back it out, or you have to pull the handle, slide the tailstock back to clear the chips, shove it back up, tighten it. Anyway, all that was a pain. So I made this. This tailstock was made out of 2-inch by whatever that is, 6-inch aluminum bar stock, and it's put together right here. It's got 3 bolts going in from the top and 3 bolts coming up from the bottom, so each side's got like 6 bolts. This was actually machined completely made. I completely made this on the lathe and with the drill press is all I used. If you pull the compound off, I made this plate that bolts on there. That's just 1/2-inch hot rolled that I ground smooth with a hand grinder. And you can get a pretty flat piece if you're really good with a hand grinder. Anyway, that bolts on with 5 bolts onto there. And then you can actually bolt the compound onto this too if you want for your 3rd axis up and down. But anyway, I did all the milling work on here with that plate. So this has 14 inches of travel in it now. And I put the scale, I just recently finished it. I made this years ago and never finished it. And I kick myself in the butt all the time now. But the reason I finished it is I finally found a head. I found this turret head for it, and it was real reasonable, and that's the reason that I went ahead and finished it, or what motivated me to finish it was that. Anyway, those are the 2 big changes I've made. I've had to replace these. I've had to replace those. I'm not sure. I got them from AliExpress, I think, and they're not. What I did was the old ones. The old ones were 4 contact, and these new ones were 3 contact, but they're actually set up for 4. So I went through the old ones and took them apart and salvaged 1 set of contacts out of each one to make those 4 contact. But the reason I got them through those guys is those relays were only, both of them together, they were less than $100 delivered. Where if you get them in the United States, they were like, I don't know, 300 a piece or something. Of course, they're probably better quality. But that's about it, I think. It's been a pretty good lathe. It's got little quirky things it does, but, and I don't believe this is this wasn't bought as a gap bed, even though if you look at it, it's set up for it. And you can see the, yeah, you can see where it's separated, but I started to take it out. You can see I started chipping it out. I was going to take it out, but then I realized, you know, maybe that's bedded in before they ground it. So there may not be a machine surface in there. So I decided, you know what, I'll just leave that alone. So this is the cheapest lathe they had at the time. It's a what, 12 by 36, I guess. But it served me pretty good since 95, still doing good. Trying to think if I had anything else to show you. Also, too, you can see I haven't used that in a while. This is the adapter that goes in here. Take the chuck off, this slides in, and there's a taper cut in here. I'm not sure what this is, whether it's a 4 or 5 or whatever it is, I don't know. But anyway, this slides in, and it's number 3 Morse taper in the middle. And then I bought, I actually use these in this milling machine now, but I bought some number 3 Morse taper end mill holders, and I have a drawbar that goes through, here, and then I could use end mill holders in there for whenever I was using that plate up here for milling. So I could actually hold different cutters in here. I had one that went in the faceplate I made too. Oh, right here. I made this little fly cutter that goes in the faceplate. If you look, it's filed flat, so it fit in the faceplate slots. And then it holds a 3/16 high-speed cutter. So that's really good for fly cutting. And you make the square hole with you broach it through there with the actual cutter itself. So I made a cover for the threads for when I'm using the end mill in there. I guess that's about it. I did have, at one time I did use coolant on this, or water soluble oil. And I just mount the little hose to one of these bolts here and have it sticking up. And then I made this splash guard to go around the chuck. And it'll slide along this top rail here. But I don't use it anymore. So I don't use coolant anymore. I just use oil and brush it on. But this thing here is all adjustable too. These are shim. They have a thin piece of shim in here to make this right. This stock is probably a oil hardening stock or water hardening stock, whichever one was the cheapest. These here are 1/2 by 1/2 and 1/2 by 3. And then I had some gears that I put in here just from something. I raised that up so it would clear this compound. And it's got a lock on the way. So, and then this is cam lock. I don't know if you can see in there or not, but it's got a cam. Yeah, too dark, I think. But I made a keyway cutter too attachment for this. Let me grab that. This is made from a broken drill motor, and then I built this box for it, and it's probably got a, if I remember, it's got a double bearing in the front, single back here, 3/8, so it'll take any 3/8 shank bit or mill, but I was using that for cutting keyways. The reason I did it so I put it on here is so you could use the back gear to index in case you wanted to put more than one keyway in something. I actually made a shaft. I think it's down here. Yeah. I actually made this in there. It's got 5 keyways on it. So that's the reason I made it, was for that. But then I used it on this too. So I don't use that anymore. It's just been sitting around because I got a milling machine now. So anyway, that's it, I guess. See ya.